Hi, guys. So today I'm going to the title of this video is Whose Armor Are You Wearing? Okay. What makes me think about is the story of David and Goliath, basically. So when in First Samuel 17, in verse 31 through 37, it discusses how the armor was too big for David because it was Saul's armor that he was trying to wear. Because when they figured out, well, when when they found out that David was going to go up against Goliath, Saul was like, you know what, basically, let's put this on you. But I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it actually in the NASB version. I've been into that version lately, but I do swap back and forth between KJV and the Amplified, like those versions as well. So 1 Samuel 17, I'm going to start at verse 31. When the words which David spoke were heard, they told them to Saul, and he sent for him. David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail on account of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." Then Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant was tending his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he rose up against me, I seized him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted the armies of the living Yah." And David said, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Go, and may Yah be with you." Then Saul clothed David with his garments. Listen to this right here, okay? Saul clothed David with his garments and put a bronze helmet on his head, and he clothed him with armor. David girded his sword over his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. So David said to Saul, "I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them." And David took them off. He took his stick in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, put him in his shepherd's bag, which he had even in his pouch, and his sling was in his hand, and he approached the Philistine. This really stands out, and I've heard this story before and everything, but it just hit a little more different today. The thing is, Saul was trying to be helpful to David, but he's like, "Here, do what I do, wear what I wear." And David tried to. He put it on and he's like, "No, this ain't me, bro. Like, I don't even know how to operate in this. Like, what is it's big, it's heavy, it's whatever. Like, well, I don't know if it was heavy. He said too big. Okay, let me not add, but I'm just guessing, right? It's like I haven't even tested this. I don't even know if I can fight in this. Like, I've never used this before. Like, this is not how I fight. I have my fighting strategy, you know? Um, and so David basically had to make the decision to do what was best for him. But we do have to realize also, though, that it wasn't the stones, like him using the stones to actually take down Goliath. So I do encourage you to go back and read the whole chapter of 17. But it wasn't about the stones that he used. He understood that he was in covenant with Yah. He understood who he had backing from. He understood who he had authority from, where his authority resided in. You know, I got like the worst headphones on of life, so just bear with me. Oh. Anyway, okay, we're just gonna do this and hopefully that one stay in. So hold on. I want to go back to verse. I want to go back to verse 26 because I feel like that's where we see where David was in covenant, like he understood his covenant with Yah. In verse 26, it's still 1 Samuel 17, verse 26. And David spoke to the men who were standing by him, saying, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should taunt the armies of the living Yah? The people answered him in accordance with his words, saying, thus it will be done for the man who kills him. And I just like his question is just like, who does dude think he is that he coming against the people of Yah? Like, this is an army of Yah, and he really think he gonna do something out here? And then even the scripture that I just finished reaching prior, it was also in here when in verse 37 when he said, Yah delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, and he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. So he came in there with that confidence, with the understanding of the covenant that he had with Yah. He knew where his authority came from. He knew where his identity came from and where it lied. So I was just thinking about, what if David actually took that armor and went to battle? Just think about some things of what could have happened in that moment, right? Because he said it was too big. And so it's like, would he have been struggling, you know what I mean? Try to like get it to feel right. Because if something's too big, it's going to be dragging. It's going to be uneven to your body. It's not fitted correctly. So it's probably going to be uncomfortable. It may slow him down, even how to move in it, because it's going to be like dragging him and stuff like that. And so his strategy, he wouldn't have a good strategy. And so it really made me think about, if he put that armor on, he would have been walking in a false identity, because he would have been trying to be someone that he's not. Now, yes, there were still warriors, right? But he wouldn't have been using his strategy and what he knows to be true for him, based off of how he's learned to fight, based off of his experience with fighting, based off of how Yah created him to be and the skills that he had. And so I'm like, what does that mean for us? Like, literally, what does that mean for us today with armor that we wear? And so that's where the question came from. Whose armor are you wearing? Are you wearing the armor of people pleasing? Are you wearing the armor of Jezebel? Are you wearing the armor of Leviathan? Are you wearing a armor of fear or stubbornness or rebellion, witchcraft, doubt? And what behaviors in lifestyle, what behaviors in lifestyle has the armor you've gotten accustomed to taught you? Because the armor that you wear is what you're operating in. The armor that you wear is what's protecting you. So what armor are you wearing that's protecting you? What has that armor taught you? And even just speaking spiritually, right? Because again, the people pleasing, Jezebel, Leviathan, fear, rebellion, witchcraft, doubt, stubbornness, and anything else that Yah may reveal to you. I don't know what that is. those things speak to you. It has a voice. Those demons literally have a voice. Those demons, those principalities, it has a voice. And it's whispering to you. And it's whispering your strategy to you. It's whispering how you should go about your everyday life. It's whispering to say, like, hey, say this to this person. Nah, do that. Nah, don't trust this person. Yeah, you trust them. Go to that way. Like, it's literally speaking to you. Literally speaking to you in every aspect, in every interaction. There's always going to be, something is always speaking to you. It's either going to be the Holy Spirit or these demonic spirits. Which one? Which armor? Which armor do you want to abide by? Which armor do you want to wear? So, in order to take off these false armors, right? I'm going to say false. I guess I'll use the term a false armor. I'll stick with that word because, it's not a full armor of Yah. It's not the truth. It's an imitation. So one way we take off, the way to take off these false armors is by renouncing and breaking agreement with the armors that you've come into agreement with. You have to break agreement with it. Literally take them off. Yes, you have to speak this out of your mouth. Literally speak it. I come out of agreement. I renounce and denounce and divorce and break agreement with this, with the armor of people pleasing, or with the spirit of people pleasing. I would say armor and spirit. They go hand in hand. But that's just an example, because again, when you take off these armors, what does that look like? Now, you declared it out of your mouth, right? But what does that look like when you need to walk it out now? So if you have an armor of people pleasing, that means that you have trouble saying the word no, or you might have trouble saying the word no. You have trouble setting boundaries with other people. This may mean that you're always worried about what others are going to think of you, which is why you're a yes man, or possibly a yes man, because everybody, people pleasing shows up in so many different ways. Even as a people pleaser, sometimes we don't realize that if Yah didn't tell us to do it, we are actually enabling a person. And so we're literally hindering their growth and standing in the way of Yah from doing the things that he needs to do in this person's life, because we want to go in and fix the issue. So there's different aspects of people pleasing. So it's like, when you take that armor off, what does that look like? Do you need to start saying no more, learning how to say no, setting healthy boundaries with other people? Even when it comes to doubt, if you're taking off the armor of doubt, what is that going to look like in your life? Maybe you struggle with decision making, because it's like you're torn this way, you're torn that way. And so you wind up getting advice, from other people. And so that can be a mom, a dad, a friend, a sister, or whatever. But then it's like that becomes your sole person of advice. And because I know for me, that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn to make decisions for myself. Now, while I was able to, obviously we're all able to think for ourselves, but I would have my decision and feel what I really needed to do. But then I would have let the voices of others like ruminate in my mind. And I'm like, well, maybe I really should do that. This person, they're older, so they kind of know. But then it's like, it don't sit well with me, and so that doubt even blends in with people pleasing, because it's like, well, I asked for their advice. What happens if I don't take it? That's even fear. So all of those things run together. And so like in that moment, I guess how I would handle the whole doubt thing is like, okay, let me backtrack. What was my first initial thought? Okay, yes, I can think about the advice that they gave me. But what is not sitting right with the advice that they gave me? Maybe they're trying to be helpful, but it's like, I don't feel led to do that. I don't. And so I need to stick true to what I'm feeling in that moment. Pray about it, you know, ask God for a confirmation and then make a decision. Because sometimes you already have your decision and that's why you feel solid in it, but you're afraid to move forward because what if it's wrong? But when you're someone when you're someone who's learning to make decisions, you might not always get it right sometimes, and that's a part of the process. And so knowing that you can possibly get it wrong, again, that causes that doubt. But these are the things that you actually have to work on. Faith plus works. They work together. We can speak this stuff out of our mouth all day, but what does it look like to apply it to our life? That is the most important thing, y'all. That's the most important thing. And obviously, replacing these false armors and the behaviors that they exhibit with the full armor of Yah. And that's in Ephesians 6. I'm going to read this in KJV. I like reading in KJV. And it's verse 10 through 20. I'm going to read it, okay? Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yah in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the full armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the blessed plate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yah, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. So it's literally sitting with each part of the armor, right? So you have the loins girt about with truth, right? What does that look like to apply truth to your life, to walk in truth? Having the blessed plate of righteousness. What does that look like in your life? Your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. What does that look like to walk in peace? What does that look like? The shield of taken above all the shield of faith, so that way you'll be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. You know what's interesting about this one? I'm going to share. Like, that's really been hitting for me lately. Like, even in my prayers, like, just thinking about, because I'm a visual person. And so I'm like, when the enemy is throwing these darts, right? It's just like that spiritual warfare going. It's like, nah, bro. Like, I know who I have backing me. I have the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob backing me. The word is true. His word is true, depending on the situation, right? So I have that scripture because his word is like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. And so it's like when the enemy tries to spew those lies at me, I'm like, nah, I don't got faith in your lies. I got faith in the truth. So blocka, blocka, blocka. And I just imagine that it's hitting it and it's falling down because I have faith in the word. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're growing in relationship and building that intimacy and trust with Yah, your faith is literally getting built, right? And so there may be areas where you may have so much faith, in other areas you're like, I don't know about this, but it's growing. And this is why, it's so great to just sit with the word, you know. And I love you when I say sit with the word, because it's like you're literally sitting with the spirit of Yah. Like the word was literally made flesh, Yahusha, right? And so it's like you get to know who he is, because following him, he's leading you right into the hands of the Father. And so it's like when you sit with the word, and it's not just memorizing it to just repeat it, but to understand it. So that way, that seed that you just planted is going to start to take root. And when you meditate on it, and you start applying it to your life, it's watering that seed. And it's going to cause the roots to grow deeper and deeper. And it's going to grow up big and strong. So that's that visual.